Today, we are breaking down the really complex sex trafficking case against the Alexander brothers. These guys were once absolute titans of luxury real estate. Now they're facing federal charges that have sent total shockwaves through the industry. And a recent court ruling has just set the stage for what is going to be a very dramatic trial.
So let's cut right to the chase. What's the latest? Well, a federal judge just handed down a huge decision, completely denying the brothers' attempt to get the case thrown out. This is a massive blow to their defense, and it means this high-stakes trial is officially a go.
To really get why this is such a big deal, you have to understand who the Alexander brothers were. We are talking about top-tier brokers who built an absolute empire in luxury real estate, first at a major firm and then with their very own company. Now, that entire empire is at risk as they face a federal indictment that is just packed with some incredibly severe allegations.
And look, this isn't just one simple charge. The prosecution has built its entire case around the idea of a conspiracy. They allege that the brothers worked together to move women and girls across not just state lines, but international borders. And they allegedly used enticements, what the law calls things of value, and we'll circle back to that, along with, reportedly, force and drugs, all with the intent of sexual contact.
Okay, so you're facing these incredibly serious federal charges. What do you do? Well, the defense went on the offensive. They filed a motion to dismiss the whole shebang. Their strategy really boiled down to three main arguments, each one designed to poke holes in the prosecution's case. Let's break them down one by one.
Their first argument was pretty bold. The defense basically claimed this wasn't a federal crime at all. They said the indictment was just describing men behaving badly, essentially trying to wave away these serious allegations as just, poor personal choices.
But Judge Valerie Caprioni was not having any of it. She completely rejected that framing. As you can see from this quote, she made it crystal clear that the whole men behaving badly argument just doesn't line up with the actual federal charges of conspiracy and trafficking.
So for their next move, the defense shifted gears. They tried a jurisdictional challenge. They argued that, hey, even if this stuff did happen, they were local issues. They even tried to compare them to date rape cases that should be handled at the state level, not by the federal government. And once again, the judge just completely dismantled their argument. She pointed out that the massive geographical scope of these alleged crimes, stretching from Martha's Vineyard to New York, down to Florida, and all the way to Israel, is exactly why it's a federal case. When you cross state and international lines, that puts it squarely in the federal government's ballpark. The defense's third and final shot was a really technical legal argument. They went after the wording of the sex trafficking law itself, claiming that the phrase anything of value was just too vague and broad to be constitutional.
And the judge's response? Decisive. She called their whole cash for sex argument totally irrelevant. The law is way broader than that. The prosecution alleges that things like flights, fancy hotel rooms, and drugs were used as the bait, and the court agreed that, yeah, those things absolutely qualify as things of value under the law.
So how did we get here so fast? It's kind of wild. This timeline really shows the rapid escalation. The first real signs of trouble came in the spring of 2024, with reports of lawsuits popping up. By the end of that year, it had exploded into a full-blown federal indictment. And now, all eyes are on January 2025 for the trial to begin.
Now, while they're fighting for their freedom in criminal court, the Alexander brothers have opened up a whole second legal battle. In a really surprising twist, they've filed a massive defamation lawsuit against The Real Deal. That's the news organization that broke this story in the first place.
And this is a classic showdown, right? On one side, you've got the Alexanders claiming they're the victims of a smear campaign. On the other side, The Real Deal is firing right back, calling the whole thing a legal stunt that's designed to bully and silence the press and attack free speech.
The stakes in this particular fight are just massive. The Alexanders aren't just trying to clear their names here. They are demanding $500 million in damages from the publisher.
So with that defamation battle just raging on the side, let's get back to the main event, the criminal trial. Now that the judge has shot down their motion to dismiss, the road to that January trial is clear. But there's still some pretty key details to sort out.
Now, to be fair, the defense didn't lose on every single point. They did manage to score one small victory when the judge threw out a single charge related to one alleged victim. But, and this is a big but, it was purely on a technicality. The statute of limitations had run out. It doesn't really touch the core of the prosecution's case.
So here's the lay of the land right now. The trial date is locked in for January. The brothers have all pleaded not guilty.
The judge has already denied their attempt to block key evidence from being used in court. So the next big fight is probably going to be over which expert witnesses will actually be allowed to testify.
And while all these legal chess moves are playing out, it is really important to remember the reality of their situation. The Alexander brothers aren't waiting for their trial at home. They are being held, without bail, in a federal detention center in Brooklyn.
You know, when you boil it all down, this entire case really hinges on one fundamental question. It's one that judges already weighed in on, but a jury's going to have to decide it for themselves. Where do we, as a society, draw the line between men behaving badly and a federal criminal conspiracy? The verdict in this trial could give us a very, very powerful answer.